Hello mga Ka-ECOP, I am Jose Roland Moya. The Employers Confederation of the Philippines, or ECOP, is here to ensure that your voice as employers is heard, articulated, and acted upon. ECOP addresses industrial relations issues, promotes social dialogue, and fosters proactive collaboration among employers and stakeholders. We are here to help employers become responsible, sustainable, and inclusive. ECOP has dual functions. First is its advocacy and lobbying role on labor and social policy issues on behalf of employers before the executive and legislative branches of the government. Second is the delivery of direct services, including training, capacity building, consultancy, provision of information, among others. By the way, huwag po kayong aalis. Manood po tayo sa buong programa. Sagutin ang aming ECOPlus question for the day. I-post ang tamang sagot sa Facebook account ng ECOP at manalo ng premyo. May I introduce to you my co-host in our episode of our digital TV program, Ms. Jelermina Abigail Rojas Gorospe, Advocacy, Research, and Communications Manager of ECOP.
Mga Ka-ECOP, welcome to ECOPlus Amplifying Your Voice every other Monday at 5:30 p.m. Our episode today is about the 43rd National Conference of Employers. On its 43rd NCE this year, ECOP and its constituents in the employer sector, policymakers, development partners, social partners, and other stakeholders will flesh out relevant employment issues, perspectives, and recommendations. Business and society had to adapt to the pandemic conditions and had to live with the virus. Employers have begun to view employment and work relationships using a different lens, embrace and adopt new ways of doing business, and reimagine work in the pandemic and beyond.
This is the best time for the Philippines to send a strong message to the rest of the world that number one, the Philippines is open for business. 2, the policy environment is investment-friendly and enables employment generation. 3, employers are digitally enabled, agile, resilient, and good corporate citizens. 4, workplaces and workspaces are safe, healthy, and inclusive. And 5, workers are skilled and equipped to meet the demands of the future of work. Alamin ang iba't ibang impormasyon mula sa ating mga panauhin ngayong gabi. Ang unang makakasama natin ngayong gabi ay si Mr. Anton Sayo. Mr. Anton Sayo is the chairperson of the Intellectual Property Committee of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Vice President of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, and Chairperson of the Alay Buhay Foundation Incorporated. Hello, Mr. Anton Sayo. Welcome to ECOPlus Amplifying Your Voice. Why don't you greet the viewers of our program tonight?
Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat at ako ay masaya at nakakasama ko ngayon.
Sir Anton, let me ask the first question. Can you share with us a brief background about the National Conference of Employers? When did it start and what is its purpose?
Itong National Conference of Employers ay nagaganap tuwing taon at ito ay nag-upisa noong mga bandang 40 years ago pa. At ang mga employers ay hinahanap itong mga get-together na ganito upang pag-usapan ang common interests, common issues na nagaganap sa kanilang kumpanya. So, lahat ng mga stakeholders kasama dito sa mga usapan nito, pati gobyerno, pati labor groups, but principally the role of employers in the national economy is being discussed during this conference.
Yeah, Anton, who are the participants in the conference?
Because economic growth is being discussed, government officials at the higher fact, even the president, they attend the conference together with colleagues from the labor sector and of course mostly employers who want to find out what's actually happening not only in their companies but also in their industries and also in the general economy to be able to balance their views and interests vis-a-vis those of the other employers.
Sir, why is it important for employers to participate in this conference? And then, what are we expecting from the employers, from the attendees?
Yes, that's a good question, Abby. Most employers have some sort of a planning group, no? Because they need to plan their operations well, given the backdrop of what's happening in the economy and in their environment. So there's always this necessity to benchmark your own operations vis-a-vis those of the others. So they go there to verify what's happening to them and to find out if they share the same problems and common concerns. No? And on that basis, they look forward to evidence-based information being presented and the views of other, even the government officials that are based on intelligent discussions and research. The idea is really to have a good indication of what is happening and how they as employers can participate in the overall process of finding out what can be done for the economy and for the country.
The National Conference of Employers has gone a long way. This year, ECOP is holding its 43rd National Conference of Employers. How different is the National Conference of Employers from the other conferences organized by other business organizations, specifically in the context of ECOP's mandate on labor and social policy?
Yeah, thank you, Roland. The employers, ECOP specifically, operate under a tripartite structure involving the government, specifically the Labor Department, as well as the other organizations involved in employment, like Department of Trade, and the employers, as well as the labor group. So
tripartite because we're referring to government, employers, and labor.
And labor.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why it's in effect a three-pronged strategy to find out how these three can work to see to it that employers are their concerns and their responsibilities within the framework of social justice can be seen vis-a-vis the concerns of labor, as well as the policy-making machineries of the government that has to do with employment. Wherewithal to promote social dialogue is basically a way where employers can cope with the challenges that faces the economy given what happened with the pandemic. So therefore, the employers always face a scenario where their cost structures are affected negatively, and this time even involving factors that happen internationally but impact the way our industries, for example, operate, the way their cost structure get affected by high energy costs, for example. So therefore, the Conference of Employers is different in the sense that there is a direct reference to economic growth as it relates to employment, as it impacts on employers as well as workers' welfare.
Sir Anton, we normally hold our conferences for 2 to 5 days, ano?
Yes.
After the presentations, speeches, panel discussions, what outcomes or outputs does our NCE produce?
I made a reference a while ago about companies needing to plan. So not all companies now can afford to have a full-fledged planning group. Now, normally, they have a corporate planning group. In fact, some have a business continuity staff. So at the end of the conference, we hope that the employers have enough input within which to make their plans. Planning one's sales is very important because your whole supply chain is affected. If you have an aggressive stance for the future and you forecast a 20% growth, you have to be prepared money-wise, raw material-wise. So it's important that your inkling about how your sales revenue will go up is in sync with those of the other employers. And therefore, during this conference, all those factors would be discussed, about how certain supply chains will go, about how logistics will actually affect your operations. You must remember that every time fuel price increases, your logistics cost goes up. Trucking cost, for example, used to be 20,000 on a roundabout basis just for to pick up your container and bring it to the port. So now that has gone up. How long that will be up or how short it would be, one of the things that would have to be considered. So you take that collectively across all industries that will be discussed. That's one of the things that we aim to accomplish, that our companies, small, medium scale, large scale, would be able to plan more intelligently after this conference.
And then, sir, these plans, do we come up with
The
a document?
results, the results of the discussions.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
document that enumerates the wish list of
Yeah.
companies.
So we're going to have 3 days of discussions. Some of them 1 day physical and 2 days physical or 1 day Zoom. So we would have a lot of discussions that will tackle all these factors, including the best practices that are happening in other countries vis-a-vis our industries here. Some countries are coping with the fourth industrial revolution in a different way. The way we are coping with it. Our IT BPO sector, for example, is more international in this aspect, and therefore they will, all these industries will have a role in the discussions. And each industry will be able to give their input into the resolutions that would be presented to the government sector. Especially now when we would have new leaders, during the past conferences, the president and his cabinet are always invited, and almost always they attend our sessions, especially the cabinet secretaries that have to do with economic growth, NEDA, DTI, as mentioned a while ago, DOLE. And those that have to do with skills development and training, like TESDA, are always there to share their views and their plans and programs, so companies would know how to coalesce or how to adjust to these plans. So lahat ng mga pinag-uusapan, isasummarize yan, hihimayin, at ipepresent sa presidente and whoever he or she would be.
Yeah, so yung output ng National Conference of Employers is a set of resolutions, at nabanggit mo kanina na normally ito ay ina-address sa mga iba't ibang government agencies. Pero kung maalala natin na Abby and VP Anton, minsan meron din tayong call to action para sa mga employers.
Yeah, yung mga tinatakil natin naman sa ating mga gabayan, kasama dyan yung industrial peace and harmony. The importance of having peace and harmony so that in effect, the growth pattern of the company and the industry would go on unimpeded. No? So, meron tayong job preservation topics that are being taken up, social justice, within the framework of economic growth. No? So, lahat ng mga yan ay tinatakay dun sa ating mga, minsan nga meron tayong mga breakout sessions na tinatalakay yung specific aspect ng industrial peace and harmony. Kadalasan, kasama din natin yung mga officials ng International Labor Organizations kung saan sinishare nila yung nangyayari sa ibang bansa, no? And those serve as a best practices model for both our employers and our labor groups to emulate, no? Laging maganda yung nangyayari sa katapusan ng conference dahil nga yung gabayan na yon ay nasi-share sa lahat, no? Lalo na sa government agencies.
What kind of actions or responses does ECOP expect from the recipients of the resolutions, lalo na sa iba't ibang sangay ng pamahalaan?
Well, siyempre depende sa leadership. Kaya importante yung leader na may elect, no? Dahil nanggaling tayo sa pandemic at yun nga, nung ating 2021 National Conference of Employers, ang ating theme rebound, reform, and recover, no? So, yun ang ating themes, and meron tayong resolutions for every strategy, ika nga, no? At ngayon, we are now focusing on recovery, and recovery as a strategy has a lot of forms, and most of them are urgent. Kasi when you say recovery, your time frame is shorter. And yung mga resolutions na yan, when they are taken seriously, the government machinery naman operates in a structure where they are empowered to react given their mandates. No? And yung ating mga resolutions sometimes are taken in the light of an administrative order or an executive order. There are few times when our discussions are done outside current legal framework condition. So we almost always, because of our short-term planning horizon, especially for a recovery strategy for the economy, given jobs and employment, we are looking at administrative orders and executive orders that can be implemented right away.
Sir Anton, you've made mention about changes and transformation. Matagal ka ng member ng ECOP, sir, and you've been to many NCEs already. From your observation, how have the NCEs changed over the years, especially when the COVID-19 pandemic emerged more than 2 years ago?
The changes that's happening in the workplace affected the way employers relate to their industry colleagues and as well as colleagues from other industries. So the employers always look forward to the ECOP conferences because of sharing of knowledge about how certain things go, about how certain strategies react or efficacious given the problems of the economy. So the impetus to have face-to-face meetings was very strong. And however, because also of the policy at the time of our officials that handled the pandemic, we had to follow a virtual conference.
That
So there
was,
were
Anton,
apprehension.
in 2021 when we had a
2021.
completely virtual national conference.
Yeah. So in 2021, we were operating under a virtual conference. And this year, we are going to work on conference that would have a physical component because people would love to see who the new officials are. And we will have one or two more days of virtual panel meetings, plenary presentations, and discussions.
VP Anton, what is the theme of the 43rd National Conference of Employers, and why did you choose this theme?
Well, firstly, the thematic discussions on what would be the main topic for the conference is in itself is a team effort among the employers, among our heads in ECOP, together with its staff, who are well grounded into what is happening in various chapters across the country. So we have many chapters in ECOP, and the staff always touch base also with ILO, other partners in government, such as in the Bureau of Labor Relations and etc. So employers understandably depend on a staff that is highly professional and highly knowledgeable. So employers deal with day-to-day problems, and they deal with a myriad of information that face them every day, and they need to be guided. And that's why when this theme
was discussed, it was about reimagining the future of employment. Most of the employers were worried about how fast they will transform or how fast they will transition, either get out of work from home or to get in further into work from home situations. Certain departments can be done like that, and certain departments cannot be done like that. So in fact, there's a lot of reimagining happening in the issue of job creation. For example, if you expand, how will you restructure your company? In one of the themes of, if I may already take this up, is reimagining the environment for job creation. And then the next theme will be reimagining the job preservation strategies. So this is where best practices are discussed vis-a-vis companies that have done this and done that and are in a position to share best practices. And then, of course, the third is the reimagining the workplace transformation. And this will be discussed within the ambit of specific industries. So people will be able to relate more quickly when industry examples are discussed, because industry experts will be invited to speak about this.
Sir, as chair of this year's NCE, what targets have you set for yourself, and how would you like the NCE to contribute to the work, to the advocacies of ECOP moving forward?
Well, the challenge would be for us is to be able to put the new leadership in our program. They normally do, despite the fact that they have their own very, very heavy schedule. But this time it's different. So our target is really, that's why we're starting early too, is that we see to it that our leaders involved with, of course, the president will be invited, and we hope that he or she would attend. And the leadership in certain branches would almost always, they're always there. Now, of course, the Department of Labor and Employment, whoever it will be, and the same way with the Department of Trade and Industry and NEDA, and of course, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. There is always a crossover to the new leadership, and precisely we had a sulong meeting with the cabinet of President Duterte, and of course, in there was discussed the performances that have been attained and how this can be transition to the new leadership. It was very important that we had that sulong as a part of a backdrop for the ECOP conference, because there are certain strategies that were implemented by the previous administration that would be turned over to the next administration. And it is important that already has the input of some of our ECOP leadership. So our ECOP leaders were in the sulong. It's one of the ECOP officials in the name of George Barcelon, who concurrently sits in the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry as president. So he was the one who read the resolutions that was agreed upon by the working group. And in that resolution, there were issues discussed about employment and economic growth, of course, including our adherence to the human development indices, social aspects that involve our workers, generally speaking.
Thank you for the very informative and enlightening session, Mr. Anton Sayo. Now for our next guest, Mr. Arturo Butch Guerrero, Governor of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines and immediate past President of the Philippine Association of Legitimate Service Contractors, or PALSCON. Hello, Mr. Butch Guerrero. Welcome to ECOPlus, Amplifying Your Voice. Why don't you say hello to our viewers?
Magandang gabi po, Mr. Roland Moya and Miss Abby Gail Gorospe, at sa mga ka-ECOP na nanonood ngayon. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.
Hello, Sir Butch. Good evening po. Allow me to ask the first question. Alam naman natin, sir, that this is not your first time to be involved in the National Conference of Employers. You've been part of the program for how many years? Palagay nyo, sir, how different will this NCE be from the previous ones that we had in terms of content, objectives, as well as participation in the format?
Okay, that's a very good question, Abby. A pleasant good evening to you. Well, this is not my first NCE, or National Conference of Employers. I've been vice chairman for the past 5 years, and I have worked with you, the secretariat, and several conference chairs. This is not also my first conference, because before this, I was chairman of many different conferences in PALSCON. Now, in NCE, I've worked with the different chairmen of the conference, and I am excited in this conference because this is the first conference that we would have a hybrid setup, where we know that we are going out of the pandemic, and some of us would be attending the conference on a face-to-face basis, and most of them hopefully would be attending online or at the Zoom platform. And also, we are going to have this conference on July, which would make that the national elections would be done by May and the results would be out. So this would be the first time that we will have a new president. Hopefully, that would grace our event and roll out the plans in front of the members of the Employers Confederations of the Philippines.
Yeah, Butch, you already made mention of the May 2022 elections. So when the National Conference of Employers is conducted in the last week of July, we shall have by then a new government in place. What impact will the changing of the guard, so to speak, have to the conference?
Well, I'm sure this would be a well-attended conference because there will be a new president, new directions, and a new cabinet. And specifically, we work closely with the Department of Labor and Employment and the Department of Trade and Industry and the different economic managers that the new president would install. We're also excited, and whoever wins in this election, ECOP has always worked with the government, and we have also worked with other employer groups, and we also work with other trade union groups as well. and looking forward to a better and brighter Philippines. And that is my hope for all of us, so that we can properly choose the right leaders to lead our country. Thank you.
My next question, sir, why should employers, corporate executives, and even HR and IR practitioners join the conference? What's in it for them?
Well, a lot of things, but basically, coming on top of my mind is that we want to be in tune with the new labor laws. Definitely, the HR managers would be appreciating this, and they would want to conform to all these new rules and procedures to better serve their constituents and to better serve their companies and bosses. That's one. And for industry practitioners, of course, there will be new regulations and new laws that ECOP always updates them on what is happening. And of course, Roland and Abby, you know very well that you're very active in almost consolidating, answering almost 200 bills every year that has been filed in the past Congresses. And I'm looking forward to this 19th Congress of this new president.
Yeah, Butch, you are co-chair not only of the 43rd National Conference of Employers, but also of the 1 Million Jobs Project, which was launched in last year's National Conference of Employers. Can you please give us an update on this project?
Thank you for asking. The 1 Million Job Project or program is very ambitious because of the 1 million jobs that we want to produce and help the economy with and provide decent jobs to the Filipino people. At first, it was such a huge amount and such a huge endeavor, but I think we've hit it with the help of the Philippine Constructors Association, SAPI, PALSCON, and other employer organizations as well, and too many to mention. And I think in our last meeting on the 1 million jobs with the Department of Labor and Employment, through Nikki Tutay, is that we've already hit it. What Chair Perry Ferrer said to me, we've already hit it by first quarter of 2022. By streamlining the process, by helping the jobless people who were laid off, who were furloughed, to seek new jobs through job matching, and through shortening the red tape process in getting these jobs to the right and correct people who are looking for them. And DOLE is helping us with it, DTI, and so many employer organizations have pitched in and worked hard. And it started with the vaccination program. This vaccination program, before they can go to jobs, they should be protected and safely can work. And I think DOLE helped us in the allocations for the vaccines. Though it started last year's conference, and I think it would still go on in this NCE or National Conference of Employers. And hopefully, we would be able to double that 1 million mark as we open up the economy and look forward to the new leadership
Butch,
that will be bestowed upon us by the Lord.
Butch, may I just interrupt you? Yung 1 million jobs kasi ay ang target between June to December 2021. But you were saying earlier that the 1 million jobs projection was met the first quarter of this year, 2022. What happened? Why was the 1 million job target from June to December 2021 not met?
Okay, you are correct.
Yung mga naging challenges or
you are correct that the target of 1 million jobs was from June to December of 2021, but we extended it to the first quarter of 2022 and hopefully up to July 2022 because there have been several outbreaks and rising cases in COVID, which delayed us. As a result of these rising COVID cases, we experienced several lockdowns on the latter half of 2021, which slowed down the opening up of the economy and the availability of the vaccines as well. And may I also mention that there were vaccine hesitancy on the side of the workers as well. And logistical requirements, but basically Abby and Roland, what I'm saying is that there were spikes in COVID infections, which resulted to several ECQs and heightened ECQs.
Now that we were able to reach the target of 1 million jobs nitong first quarter of 2022, I'd just like to confirm that the project is evolving. Are
And
there
continuing.
Yes. Yun nga, sir, are there plans to continue this beyond the 1 million target? And ano pa ba ang dapat nating abangan dito sa project na to?
Definitely, we're going to exceed that 1 million mark. And definitely, we are going to continue even if we hit the 1 million mark for the whole of 2022. And I think we're going to have a formal signing on May 1, which is Labor Day, for all parties concerned. And we would have one of the highlights on the National Conference of Employers, which would be for 3 days. So I encourage everybody to attend this conference because they can help out with this project, they can contribute with this 1 million jobs, and they can learn from the 1 million jobs. In fact, even us are learning a lot when our economy opens up. So it's an exciting part of our history. First time that we're going to go hybrid, first time that we're going to have a new president, a new cabinet, and first time we're going out after more than 2.5 years. So I'm excited for everybody and for myself as well. Looking forward and being optimistic.
Ano ba yung mga priority components at saka baka meron pang ibang projected outcomes ang project na ito for this year? Are you in a position to divulge to us the
Well,
Yeah.
coming from sales for so many years in the U.S. pharmaceutical business, and you might heard of Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, it's better to under-promise and over-deliver rather than under-deliver and over-promise. Yes, we have hit the 1 million jobs by first quarter of 2022. I don't know if we're going to hit it, double the figure at 2 million, but definitely we're not going to stop until all of us Filipinos would have decent jobs on hand. I know it's a very positive and optimistic angle of approach, but one job to one person may mean a lot to him or to her and to their family. So I don't want to, again, overpromise and underdeliver. I would say definitely we would hit more than 1 million, whether it's going to be 1.5 million, 2 million, or 3 million, as long as we are providing the service out there, then I think I can speak well for Chair Perry Ferrer that we would be very, very happy on that aspect.
From the 1 million jobs project, mag-jump tayo, sir, ng topic. My next question would be, how has the service contracting industry changed during the pandemic? How did it help other businesses survive after more than 2 years of the economic and health challenges?
Wow, that's a very loaded question, Abby. How has the pandemic changed the service contracting industry? I think it's not only our industry or the service contracting industry that changed, but it's changed the perception of the entire world in this COVID fiasco, if I may, or COVID pandemic. Number one, we are seeing not only in the industry but in the several call centers, they found out that they can work from home with the proper tools and the proper internet connections, and they don't want to go back to their physical jobs if they can do their work at home because they are with their family and they can take care of their kids. Second, in this pandemic, I learned that I can run several companies all at the same time without leaving my house. And there's no traffic involved. There's no to and from different locations. You can instantly talk to people, have a meeting at any part in the world. So it's an awakening of new procedures, awakening of new habits because of the technology we have now. Parang sinasabi namin na pwede pala yun. Pwede palang mag-meeting ng hindi face-to-face. And most of the workers, I think 30% of the workers, not only in the service contracting industry, but across all industries, do not or would prefer to work from home. Kaya yung telecommuting app that ECOP was very active in pursuing and having it passed in the 18th Congress is very beneficial to all the workers that we have right now. That we have new paradigms and new procedures, new way of doing things. Kaya mas exciting itong NCE na to eh. Hybrid nga eh. Merong face-to-face, merong online, and it works. And it cuts down on costs and makes easier for everybody.
Butch, still on the service contracting industry where you belong, what prospects, even challenges do you see for the service contracting industry in terms of employment, productivity, and socio-economic development, especially in the context of a rapidly changing business environment?
You are correct, Roland. It's a rapidly changing business environment. I think it's an advantage for the service contracting industry because currently, right now, all my clients who are in the cashless business, I'm talking about GCash, talking about PayMaya, I'm talking about WhatsApp, I'm talking about online banking. In all the banks have it right now. Automatic transfer of money. Even when I go to McDonald's, I can pay through GCash. They're all booming. They require a lot of people under contracts and subcontracts and under very flexible working conditions, work from home. As long as they have a PC and a good internet connection, they can do their job. Currently, right now, we just talked to Elon Musk, and he's bringing satellite technology to us. That will be the first step in the end of cell sites because everybody would be using satellite technology and can be connected all throughout the world.
It will be a game changer.
It is a game changer.
Still on the contracting issue, sir, I have one question. As you may know, many politicians have been talking about abolishing labor contracting. How do you ensure that the exploitative practices such as the non-payment of mandatory premiums, low wages, 555, how do we ensure? Yes, Endo. How do we ensure that these are all things of the past?
Okay, I think ang kailangan dito, I think the right word is kailangan natin matutong mag-move on. Okay? Mag-move on na yung mga kumokontra sa industriya namin. Kasi bawal naman ho talaga ang 555. Bawal naman ho talaga ang endo. And these are acts that we do not allow and we do not want to happen to our industry. And the benefits that you mentioned of non-paying government-mandated dues such as SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig are gone. Those days are gone. The legitimate service contracting pays all this and sometimes even pays more than the minimum wage and are more flexible. So these are new ways of looking at things. However, it's still there. It still persists because there are unscrupulous business people out there who are still taking advantage of our workers. That's why it's very important to be updated through the National Conference of Employers. It's very important that we know the regulations and the new labor laws that are being passed and be updated in all the discussions, especially if you are HR practitioners and industry practitioners, to be updated and to be aware of the consequences of these acts that are destroying our industry, which is destroying the service contracting industry. Bawal na po yung 555 and endo. And I think, if I may quote from former Chief Justice Arturo Panganiban in his article in the Inquirer, it is enforcement that we need, but we don't need more laws because more laws complicate it. We just need a better enforcement mechanism to spot these abusive business people, I'm sorry to say, business people and employers that are out there who are destroying the good names of those employers who are following the law.
Yeah,
That's it, Abby.
Yeah, for the last question, as co-chair of the 43rd National Conference of Employers, what is your wish for this conference?
Well, wow, my wish. Titingin muna ako sa langit. I have a lot of wishes, but I just want everybody to participate. I just want everybody to be involved. And I want to help out and all of us help out and see each other face to face again. Because man was not intended to be alone. We are intended to be social animals and just enjoy it. And while helping people get decent jobs in this 1 million project and conforming to the new leadership on hand. Definitely, we will have a new leadership. So we want to be involved, we want to be counted, we want to participate, and we want to contribute in our own little way. And what more by attending the 43rd National Conference of Employers, which would be without a Roland Moya and an Abigail Gorospe. With that, those are like my last words, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person and face to face. Salamat po.
Thank you very much, Mr. Butch Guerrero, co-chair of the 43rd National Conference of Employers. Before we proceed to our last guest for tonight, mga Ka-ECOP, we will be right back after this segment.
PhilWen believes that effective collaboration with like-minded organizations is key to pursuing advocacies for workplace gender equality, women's economic empowerment, and diversity and inclusion. ECOP and PhilWen's work in the business sector are aligned. We work with companies through evidence-based strategies, capacity-building activities, and tools for workforce development. Our membership in ECOP and our role as co-chair of the Revive Diversity and Inclusion Committee is a testament to the importance of D&I in business and socio-economic development. As the voice of Filipino employers, we in PhilWen are committed to support ECOP in creating workplaces that are enabling and thriving. Through our partnership, we wish to influence other business organizations to be our allies. We look forward to continuing this collaboration with you.
And we're back. Welcome again to ECOPlus, Amplifying Your Voice. I am Jose Roland Moya, and allow me to introduce our last guest for tonight, Mr. Ernie Cecilia, Chairman of Human Capital Committee and the Publication Committee of the American Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines, Chairman of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines Technical Working Group on Labor Policy and Social Issues, and past President of the People Management Association of the Philippines. Hello, Mr. Ernie Cecilia. Welcome to ECOPlus, Amplifying Your Voice. Please say hello to our viewers tonight.
Hello, Roland. Hello, Abby. And to the many persons listening to your widespread program.
Hello, Sir Ernie. Let me ask you the first question. You've been part and witness of many NCEs in the past. It is now the 43rd NCE. What should make this conference different from the previous ones?
There are a few distinct features. As you very well know, in the past, before the pandemic, we used to have 41 national conferences of employers that were basically face-to-face or in person. In 1920 and in 1921, we held the first virtual NCE. And during this time, what we're going to have in 2022 is a hybrid national conference. The other good thing about this is we will follow through from last year discussions on crucial issues that were facing the employers as well as the nation in general. And another feature would be that for the past 6 years, after 6 years, we will have a new government where we will, with whom ECOP and other business organizations, employer organizations must collaborate with. And lastly, for this conference, we will have only a single focus issue, and that is jobs or employment. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what's probably unique with this year's 43rd National Conference of Employers.
Yeah, Ernie, that brings me to the next question. What is the main theme of NCE 43, and how did you decide on this theme? What considerations were foremost in the minds of the ECOP leadership, and of course the program cluster of NCE 43, which you chair?
Thank you very much, Roland. That's a very relevant question. You see, over the past several years, many sectors of the economy, particularly employers, workers, businessmen, they were all searching for more relevant, more creative ways of coping with the pandemic that has affected not only the economy, but also the lives of many people in many countries. It seems at this time, at least for the past 2 years, that the solutions of yesterday are no longer relevant to the problems of today and probably in the future, which leads us to think that organizations like ECOP, to be able to be of service to the country, to help government in nation building, to help ensure more jobs, which is really hard to come by these days. ECOP must lead in reimagining the future of employment. And therefore, we thought that the theme for the NCE 43 this year should be reimagining the future of employment from policies to actions. Reimagining might seem at first blush to be just, blue skying and thinking of what to do. But the kind of reimagination that we want to happen is a creative way of looking at new things, maybe even looking at the same old issues with a different lens and crafting powerful solutions that can address squarely these issues. You see, right now we live in a VUCA environment. What ECOP wants to do is to help employers understand the current situation, invite even foreign experts to help employers understand what's happening in other countries, for them to share best practices on issues that the whole world is facing. We also want to invite government to listen into the proceedings so that they can also consider possible resolutions that ECOP can suggest on how employers, government, workers, and other stakeholders can help in a collective effort toward purposive and deliberate, viable economic recovery.
Sir, let's talk about the format of the conference. Would you have any idea by now how many days this will be? And will it be face-to-face, virtual, or hybrid? Give us an idea of how this NCE will unfold.
Thank you, Abby, for that. We usually hold NCEs in the past for 2 straight days, for 1.5 straight days. We've done that virtually for 3 days, 4 hours each. This time, we are suggesting that this conference will be different in the sense that this will be hybrid. Possibly, we will have an opening day that is face-to-face. Then we have a second day that is virtual, and then face-to-face again. You see, for the first day, we'll have opening ceremonies where key people, including cabinet members, and even probably the newly elected vice president, to open the conference, the national conference. Then on day 2, we'll usually have benchmarking with best practices by inviting foreign experts. And during this period where travel is still restricted in some parts of the world, it might be best if we can do the day 2 on a virtual basis so that foreign experts do not need to travel to the country to be able to join and grace the occasion. And of course, the closing ceremony is very important. that I think we should have this on a face-to-face basis, especially we will request the newly elected president to grace the occasion where she will give the closing message, but not before she receives from ECOP the resolutions that would have been crafted as a result of this 3-day national conference.
Yeah, Ernie, the format as well as the content of the forthcoming 43rd National Conference of Employers sound interesting, but at the same time challenging in terms of preparations and production. Even the theme is very intriguing. What topics will be covered to strip the theme of its mystery and make it more down to earth, so to speak?
Well, Roland, the way you really phrase the question, it's not just intriguing, but it would require some doing to be able to demystify, what reimagining the future of employment from policies to actions. That should really take some doing. That's why what we plan to do is do this on a step-by-step basis. After the opening ceremonies, if you will allow me to explain at length, we shall have a series of plenary sessions. This we hope to be done on a face-to-face or in-person basis. Of course, subject to health protocols and other government regulations. We'd like to start off with an economic situation to lay down the economic landscape at the start of the new administration. Probably the best person to do this would be the new NEDA chief, if there is a new one, or perhaps the incumbent governor of the central bank. These are the two persons who would probably be in the best position to lay down the economic situation there for all the participants and speakers to appreciate. Next, we would like, since we will be talking mostly about jobs, and the government agency tasked with the job facilitation function would be the Department of Labor. We'd like to hear from the new Secretary of the Department of Labor and Employment to discuss the administration's employment recovery agenda or policy. And of course, we understand that employment is really an offshoot of investment. For the longest time, we've been saying this. The formula has not changed. Investment equals employment. So we'd like DTI or Department of Trade Secretary, the newly installed secretary, to discuss the investment agenda. I'm not talking about foreign investments alone, but also domestic investments. Next, we'd like to hear from another cabinet member the plan for improving employment in the tourism industry. One of the most badly hit sector of the economy, that's tourism. And then of course, we cannot but have Secretary of Health discuss the health agenda, how the Philippines is preparing for any other health emergencies that will affect the nation in the event of a new pandemic or other serious health issues. In addition, we also need to understand how transportation will improve the situation so that travel or commute of workers will be facilitated. Hence, we'd like to hear from the Department of Transportation Secretary on the policies, strategies, and programs that they have on transportation. Next would be, as we will still see more and more of hybrid work being done, despite the not so gentle nods from government today to get everybody 100% back to the brick and mortar workplace. We feel that hybrid work will be effective if there is a good connectivity. Therefore, we need Department of Information and Communication Technology to discuss the country's journey towards digital transformation. And lastly, for the first day, it's going to be a long day, but we need to put together these key people to discuss relevant issues affecting jobs. And the last to speak would be the chief of the Climate Change Commission on climate change, because whether we like it or not, climate change affects jobs. In the words of Sharon Burrows, I think in 2015, in one of the climate meetings, international meetings held, I think she said in no uncertain terms, there are no jobs in a dead planet. So make sure that climate change does not adversely affect our planet.
Yeah, essentially the first day will be a conversation, a dialogue, an interaction with new cabinet secretaries who will be involved in crafting, in formulating, and also executing employment policies. And then on the second day, you said that this will be a sharing of best practices. And on the last day, the president will be invited to close the conference. Abby?
Sir, we dive into the sub-themes that you've mentioned. We have 3 days, we have 3 sub-themes. And you mentioned that the formula stays the same, investment equals employment. In your perspective, how do we create decent and quality jobs? And how do we define decent and quality jobs?
That's a very good question. I think in uncertain terms, ILO has given us some good guidelines about decent jobs. What the country needs are not regular jobs. What the country needs are really decent jobs. When we talk about jobs, we are not only talking about job creation. The first day will focus on job creation. Day 2 will focus on policies and strategies, programs for job preservation. And this will be purely virtual. And we'd like to hear from CEOs of major sectors discuss issues on job preservation. As we speak today, there are certain sectors that contribute easily close to 50% of jobs in the formal sector. And we're going to invite key people in these sectors to discuss what their plans are, what problems they encounter in preserving jobs. Because aside from job creation, the country sorely needs to preserve jobs. And if you look at the future of work study by ILO, there is a heavy leaning on the use of social dialogues to be able to preserve jobs. While there are issues facing employers, it would be best to first involve government, workers, organizations, businessmen, etc., the rest of most of the policy makers, etc., in social dialogues to be able to preserve jobs. And probably what we can do would be, listen to experts on how jobs could be preserved, considering the fact that jobs are changing. So there'll be a lot of discussions on what are changing in terms of skills, how best we can allow job preservation.
And let me ask a question related to the third component of the conference. What are the prevailing external factors that is prompting us to open discussions about employment and workplace transformation? Why do we need transformation?
Thank you, Roland. That's a very relevant but at the same time difficult question. Let me simplify it. The world is changing. All aspects of life in this world, business, careers, everything is changing. And, change is something that we need to embrace. The world of work is changing very quickly, faster than we can cope. And jobs or employment per se have undergone several changes and will continue to change. It's about time that we take the bull by the horn and discuss how we can reimagine employment transformation. Firstly, the rest of the world has become digital. It is not because of the pandemic. Pandemic is not a change driver. It's a change accelerator. Actually, whether we like it or not, digital transformation, particularly of business and of employment, was bound to happen because of changes in technology, which affect the way we work, the way we play, the way we live our lives. And for that, I think what we want to do is have that topic discussed by experts, either on Zoom or face-to-face. We probably should even involve SMEs here, where digital transformation is probably not common to hear. But we really need to move with the rest of the world, because in business, competition is not just the store next door or at the other corner. It's the rest of the world. Number two, it used to be that if you're an employer, all you got to do is hire people and pay them the right pay. Today, employment is a complex matter. There are several issues that accompany the responsibility of employers. One of these, in many parts of the world, this is happening as a major constraint: diversity and inclusion. It's about time we really take this into account. Maybe, sabi nga nila, gas-gas na yung sinasabi na inclusion, diversity. But in the Philippines, it's becoming clearer that it will be an issue. It has been an issue in many parts of the world for a few decades. But to us here, it is now getting to be a major issue. People are more aware of their rights, equality in employment, or at least equity, gender sensitivity. There are several issues that now become responsibilities of employers. And I think ECOP is right in taking the lead to discuss these issues and help many employers in the Philippines to be able to comply with this new added responsibility, which is really part of what it takes to become an employer. These are the sub-themes. Let me repeat. While the main theme is about reimagining the future of employment, from policies to actions, we'd like to really segmentize the three important aspects of employment, which is, number one, reimagining job creation for day one, reimagining job preservation for day two, and for day three, reimagining employment transformation. I hope that helps a lot, or would be participants to this National Conference of Employers.
On that note,
Thank
Ernie,
you for the question, Roland.
on that note, we end our conversation. Thank you very much for sharing with us your insights, especially from your perspective as co-chair of the National Conference of Employers 43, or NCE 43. Pawi?
Thank you very much, Sir Ernie, for a very wonderful discussion.
The pleasure is mine, and here's looking forward to greater participation as we offer a conference that's hybrid. We will accommodate people who would like to join us in the venue, but again, we offer this to a larger number of participants who are used to joining us online or through virtual means. Join us, and I'm sure there will be a lot of takeaways. And ECOP, more power.
Thank you for the fruitful discussion, Mr. Ernie, Cecilia. Let's have a short break for ECOPlus, Amplifying Your Voice Netizens Q&A.
Interested in getting familiar with the single and official voice of Philippine employers? Want to stay updated on the latest news and trends on labor and social policy issues? By becoming a member of ECOP, you can have access to all of these and many more. Explore the benefits of joining ECOP. ECOP provides its members with a comprehensive range of services that includes training, advocacy, and information through seminars, research publications, and networking. The ECOP Help Desk provides assistance to members who may have questions or concerns on issues regarding human resource management, HRM, industrial relations, IR, and occupational safety and health, OSH. Managed and operated internally using ECOP facilities and technical staff, the help desk can be easily accessed through multiple platforms. We regularly conduct free webinars to keep our constituents in the business community abreast with the latest and upcoming developments on industrial relations, social policies, and related topics. Aside from free webinars, we offer to members big discounts in our public training programs, seminars, and workshops on IR, HR, OSH, and a lot more. Philippine employers are represented by ECOP in various tripartite bodies. ECOP's participation in congressional hearings and other policy consultations ensures that the voice of employers is articulated, heard, and acted upon. As a member, you can network and join events that bring together company representatives to discuss developments and issues on industrial relations and human resources management through our Members' General Meeting, MGM. Aside from this, you can attend, discover ECOP, an interactive forum organized for members and non-members alike to familiarize them with ECOP's advocacies, activities, and programs. An overview of pending labor bills in Congress and proposed policy issuances discussed in the Technical Executive Committee of the Department of Labor and Employment are usually presented. We provide a learning and sharing platform among representatives of our member companies through our ECOP networks. ECOP Networks has 3 fields of specialization, which are industrial relations and human resources, IR/HR, occupational safety and health, OSH, and corporate social responsibility and responsible business conduct, CSR, RBC. As a member company, your management or HR representatives will have the opportunity to receive full overseas technical scholarship on topics such as industrial relations, human resource management, and occupational safety and health organized in Japan. ECOP also organizes the annual National Conference of Employers, where our members enjoy discounts when participating. Lastly, you will enjoy other benefits such as up-to-date, informative e-bulletin and research publications. We provide our members up-to-date and relevant news, studies and statistics gathered from reputable agencies, as well as trends and practices directly collected from various industries. Our members can enjoy 50% discount on research publications such as Corporate Compensation Survey and CBA Report. Free conferences, workshops, or seminars by invitation through ECOP special projects. Exclusive access to members-only page in the ECOP website, where you can review different project tools, documents, copies of position papers, minutes of committee meeting, and loads of other records. ECOPlus, Amplifying Your Voice, is ECOP's digital television program that airs regularly in various social media platforms. The program discusses ECOP's advocacies and programs. It also features interviews with employers, practitioners and policymakers on current, evolving and future workplace issues. Airs twice a month, 5:30 p.m., on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. As our members continue to grow their businesses, ECOP will always continue its mandate of protecting the interest and advocating the welfare of the business community. Discover the many ways you can support your business or enterprise today. Join the Employers Confederation of the Philippines. Your partner. Your advocate. The single and official voice of the Philippine employers on labor and social policy issues.
Abby, we are now in the ECOPlus Netizens Corner segment of the show. Let's take a question from our netizens, and this one comes from ECOP's social media account sa ECOP Facebook page from Leia Martes. Hi, I am an HR manager in a small IT company. I've heard about your consultancy services. Ano po ba ang mga consultancy services na ino-offer ng ECOP at paano po ba namin ito ma-access? Pawi?
Thank you very much, Sir Roland. Thank you very much din, Leia, for that question. Ayun, nabanggit naman na meron tayong consultancy services lalo sa mga micro, small, and medium enterprises. Ito ay para sa mga enterprises na hindi maka-afford ba o kulang sa resources para magkaroon ng, let's say, ng isang HR department. So parang ECOP yung tatayong HR ng mga companies. Meron po tayong mga pinoprovide na mga, number one, meron tayong mga tools and templates. Paano kayo magkakaroon ng mga policies and programs? Paano kayo matutulungan na mag-comply sa mga basic labor and OSH standards? Ang kailangan nyo lang pong gawin ay i-email kami sa helpdesk@ecop.org.ph. Pwede nyo rin po kaming i-message sa Facebook at agad-agad namin kayong tutulungan para sa inyong mga workplace concerns.
Yeah, thank you, Pawi, for answering the question of Leia. For our netizens, kanina binanggit namin ang ECOPlus question for the day na dapat abangan para manalo ng papremyo. Ito po ang ECOPlus question for the day. Pang-ilang National Conference of Employers or NCE na ang gagawin sa taong ito? Abi, paano ba sasagutan ang ECOPlus question for the day?
Thank you, sir. Ito ang ating mechanic. Iko-comment lang ang sagot sa Facebook account ng ECOP using this format. #ECOPlus Amplifying Your Voice, space, your answer, space, kung ano ang title ng episode na ito. Don't forget to like and share this episode sa aming ECOP Facebook page. Ang mapipiling manalo ay ino-notify sa ECOP Facebook page at bibigyan namin ng instructions kung paano maklaim ang premyo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anton Sayo, Mr. Butch Guerrero, and Mr. Ernie Cecilia for your time. Maraming salamat kay Leia sa iyong katanungan. Sana inasagot ni Abigail ang tanong mo. Huwag niyo pong kalimutan sagutin ang ECOPlus question for the day. I-like at i-share ang episode na ito para manalo ng premyo. Mga ka-ECOP, I'm your host, Jose Roland Moya, with my co-host,
Abigail Gorospe. See you every other Monday at 5:30 p.m. sa next episode ng
ECOPlus Amplifying Your Voice. Keep safe and God bless everyone.